We have 3 drops left. Operation 7 drop 2, and then the 2 drops that coming in Operation 8, or we think it's 2 drops in Operation 8. What do you guys expect to see, both from maps and characters cosmetics perspective, in terms of PvE features and PvP features? What do you guys think we're going to be seeing, or what do you hope that we'll be seeing?
Um, Go on, Cheese.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No, you could. I've been kind of waiting for them to do more than one map in a drop. They said that would be the minimum, and I guess we expected they would stick to the bare minimum. I kind of hope they do a little bit more. Obviously, I want the last 3 drops to be 3 new maps, or a new map each drop. Continue with that. It'd be kind of cool if maybe there's a ported map in addition to it, not it be a ported map.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm in terms of PvE, I'd love some more of the tile maps. I think those are great. Maybe a handful more of those. I don't think there's much more to do with balancing the classes. Maybe push the envelope a little further with the promo classes, but that's really it. Other than that, maybe some quality of life features. I really don't care about skins or characters. I'll just be 100% honest. They have no effect to me. We have so many characters in the game. I'm content with that. But I'd say 3 new maps, some little quality of life changes. Maybe all the events. Maybe like the last drop, they put all the Horde events in custom matches. I'd love for them to put the modifiers in it, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Maybe some more tweaks to the daily challenges they do in PvE. Maybe a little bit more with that, but other than that, I don't expect much more than map skins and some quality of life features to push it into maintenance mode.
Yeah.
No, I can agree on that. I'd love to share my thoughts on it, but I don't think I'm in a position to say anything. Because right now, to me, I just reckon we're going to get. This is what I think is going to happen, because Up 6 and 7 seem to have laid out the template. And from what I've seen on Twitter in terms of leaks, it makes sense where it seems we're going to have 5 characters a drop, like we are now. Well, we had one with Up 6. I assume we're going to have the same with Up 7. Well, I hope we do, because 2 at the start was a bit low with Hannah and Ukon. I reckon we're going to get 1 new map, 1 port from Gears 4, because they clearly haven't got the resources to do anything else from what we've seen. And I think we're just going to have some quality of life fixes. So when the game goes into maintenance mode after Up 8 drop 2, the game will just kind of, in a sense, look after itself. And I think that's just how it's going to end, unfortunately.
Ace, what are you expecting to see?
So they've hinted at some bits already, haven't they? So yes, we've got the established maps and characters that we'll be expecting, and there's obviously the unmentionables out there that you can track down that's going to give an idea of what they'll be. They've said that operations will end from after Operation 8, but there will be a kind of continual refresh. So presumably what we expect is a kind of repeating of the same sort of, the basic medal set, weapon set, and so forth that will probably be randomly generated and continue to go on to promote play in PvP and PvE. As you said, probably we'll get a couple of new maps. The only thing I'm wondering, optimistically, I would say, since we're reaching the end, there's a possibility that there's a number of maps that have been at different stages of completeness that haven't quite managed to make it in at any point in the previous ops, but we might get maybe a last sort of push on those. What with all the other massive strides they've done with PvE, they've got the scrapping done, they've got the promo classes sorted. Well, I think Striker maybe still needs a little bit more work, but most of them anyway.
Yeah.
We might hopefully see that they can crunch a bit on the maps, and we might get a few more. Yeah, I'm not saying anything, but that's my personal thought. That could be an occurrence, is that we may see a few more at the end because they get into the end and they can finish them. But better to temper expectations and expect what we've had on the last couple of of drops really. But if anything, I'd say from what we've seen, we have been surprised many a time. You know, we've been surprised when they have done changes that we didn't think were going to will come that fast. You know, we've gone through a whole list of them today. Previously, it was things like they did finally change the Omen, which was maybe a 50-50 success rate on that one. They did change the mutator in so the modifier in Escape that resets you.
Yeah.
They've changed it. No, that was
Yes.
a long thing we were going
Yeah.
on about for ages.
I mean,
Unfortunately,
they've made a lot of changes that people have
They have.
requested. So
Yeah, and they've had a few surprises here and there. So I'm hoping they've kept a few back for Operation 8, or they've got a few that they can now focus on and knock it out. But on the other hand, if it goes every other op, there's a quiet one, and then there's a one where we push things out, then it could be that this is the kind of the big thing and what we're expecting, and it may only be a couple of smaller life improvements that we get between now and the end of the major ops. But you know, I'm quite happy with what they've done, where things are. I mean, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe focus on a bit more of a bug fixing for the next drop or so. Certainly for the mid drop, hopefully.
Yeah.
We get the kind of bit of the polish. I think they were eager to blast us with all of these things, and we certainly know why Shawnee was excited for us to see this, and he was keen to get the feedback. And I think, unfortunately for him, I think everyone was just kind of blindsided by there was just so much that we were kind of in a bit of shock, really. And it's only once we actually get to see it and experience it, and we go back and look over it and go, "Wow, actually, this was quite a staggering amount." Thank you, you know. And as I said before, big props to Michael and what he managed to get done, or him and his team. So yeah, I'm honestly kind of at that point now where I don't really know what to expect in the next op. I got a good feeling we're going like everyone else what we're going to get in the mid drops anyway. The op 8 could be another bit more of a quiet op 6, which wasn't that bad. We had quite a lot of events in op 6. I thought was its shining point. You had like weekly events. You know, it was good in that regard. But yeah, I can see why a lot of people found it a little bit lacking. It was also when they dropped names, which of operations, which people seem to were quite attached to. But yeah,
Just kind of showed like a decline in quality in a way, when they're no longer having a theme around it, I suppose. I think that's what people kind of like trying to get.
It still had a theme, wasn't it? It was Fallen Heroes. Was
loose.
It just never had a. It just never had a name, and even then, the Tomb was kind of to connect with that, but we didn't get Tomb until drop 2, and then we only had Huffman, and like no one was dead that we had to play, so nothing was really getting honoured except for Prescott. So
yeah.
One point I want to quickly make there with the likes of Tomb, Prescott, and that lot is if you don't already, and you're listening to this video here, if you don't already, do look out for if I pronounce it right, Parasidian on Twitter. If you don't know, he is the lore guy for Gears, and he whenever comes out or a new map comes out, he just gives out this wonderful. Yeah, there's this wonderful tweet thread on the information and the lore behind it. And when you go into the depths of the little details here and there, you can then go into the game and look at and look at those bits on the character skin, or look at those sections in the map, and you go, yeah, there's a lot of love and dedication put in there. And you're not seeing that when you're running around blowing each other's heads off with Nashes.
Yeah. No, I can understand that.
Definitely worth watching it and reading those, because that's definitely where you get more of an appreciation for the finer details in Gears, and know that those things are in there. And when you look at those bits, you can see it all tied together a bit more as, yeah, this was Fallen Heroes. This was remembering that those characters beforehand that we've lost, and you know, the big heroes, and you know, yeah, maybe they didn't quite tie it up very nicely with a big bow on top. Maybe a little bit lacking there, but you can see there was definitely a strong theme in the op, and maybe it was this kind of sullen theme of remembering the fallen that maybe made it a quieter op. I don't know. And then op 7, we've got the big hit of Ukon, tactics again, and Ephira, and it's all a bit more of the battlefield, and which everyone can kind of galvanize around a bit more, I think, with the sort of community love of that. I think the problem they have a lot of the time when they do any of these kind of teases is the community will jump at something and go, look at that! That means it's something from Gears 2, or there's a Gears 2 remaster, or they're adding the Hammer of Dawn into it, or something. And and I can only just think that poor Shawnee and the lot are sitting there going, "Oh dear God!"
It's no wonder why they're so hesitant to show anything, because people just jump on this and they build this expectation for themselves, and it's like, "Oh, wait, what do you mean it's not happening?" It's like they never said. Please leave them alone.
Yeah.
They
wouldn't stop with the Hammer of Dawn thing after that picture came out.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, so I think I'm right there with you, hoping for 3 new maps with the addition of a couple ports. I don't think that's very likely. I think we'll get at least 1 new map, maybe 2. I don't think 3 is very likely. For PvE, maybe we'll see a few class tweaks, and then maybe Operation 8 will have a couple tile maps. I think Operation 8 will see the release of the private, or the custom lobbies can have those like special event things. I don't know how many more special events we'll have though.
Do you think they might be able to put them on a kind of a rotation or something, or automatic?
Yeah, they might be able to.
I mean, they don't have a good track record. Well, not them. I suppose it's more Epic, really, when it comes to that kind of thing.
So one of the things I've been trying to think of is, so Michael is basically like their PvE guy right now, right? But he's also a very experienced map designer. And so it's, okay, well, do they take it easy on PvE stuff? And it's like, okay, maybe we'll put out a couple tile things, maybe do like 1 more event, and put the special events into custom matches, which hopefully won't take too long, and then he can focus most of his efforts on helping get as many like Gears 4 ports moved over, or putting the finishing touches on as many new maps as possible in order to get that push for just a few more like new maps coming over, or ported maps coming over.
Exactly.
So it's possible,
That's the balance I'm trying to think of. I don't know what's better. I personally lean more towards, I'd like to see him focus his efforts more on maps rather than the like PvE events.
I think it's just too late at this point.
Yeah.
I personally think they're done with PvE events. I think Nexus Siege was the culmination of all of that. That was bringing the Locust to Lambent and everything. I think that was his big project. He completed it. I think
so. You know what it's probably going to be is all those special events that were specific to certain maps. They need to test those out and make them playable on all maps.
Yeah, that I agree with. I'd love to see the Escape from Kadar and all that on other maps.
I think that will be the big thing. And then PvP, really I want to see a couple playlist organizational updates, but then private matches. Like, I know they're not going to...
Yeah.
I would love to just have my mind blown and have them... I've made videos on everything I want to see. I'd love to see them blow my mind and have a ton of stuff in there. But even if they just add a few basic private match options, I will be happy.
I think we will. I feel like I said this in a tweet. I feel like when that was announced that they were doing more stuff with privates and customs, it was sort of overlooked. And I'm just like, no, it shouldn't be. Like, it gives us so much potential. And I really do feel like it's a sign of things of what they're trying to add onto the game before they finish support for it. So I am definitely excited to see that. That's something I will be looking forward to.
Yeah, and I just hope they spend the time to actually polish it.
Yes.
For all 5 people still working on Gears 5. Yeah.
All right. Well, we've been going for over 2 hours now, so...
Really?
Yeah, let's...
Shit, we still haven't even talked about crossplay or FOV on consoles.
Oh my
God. So much we've missed out.
All right,
let's talk about FOV.
Let's hit that real quick. All right. Mm-hmm. I have not changed FOV. I don't think I'm going to. Maybe I will, but I don't know. FOV onto console, huge thing, especially because now it gave them an excuse to enable permanent crossplay on all things, which I think is wonderful. A lot of people, or I don't know about a lot of people. There's a vocal group of people who are not too happy about that.
The future is now, old man.
It's a
That's all I got to say to them.
It's a contentious decision, isn't it? That's the problem. It's controversial. There's
It shouldn't even be, to be honest.
Well, there's
do not start me. Do not start me, because
I mean,
all right. The only valid excuse I hear from people is the hackers and modders becoming more rampant. Which, that's an issue. It's not as bad as people think it is, but
it's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you got to temper, isn't it? So Gears 5 does have EAC, Easy Anti-Cheat, which Gears 4 never had. So they have tried. It's not infallible. It's not a perfect system. And with your Gears PC Discord, I notice in there's an awful lot of reports and checking and that get passed along. And I mean, the problem we sometimes see is there's some names that come up quite often that seem to just keep turning up. You do wonder if, because the Coalition is a first-party studio, whether they shouldn't be able to get a little bit more in depth with Microsoft and try and come up with better ways to ban it. But then you're kind of limited by what you can do. You can IP ban, but you can get different IPs. It's not like, at least on Xbox with consoles, you can console ban and do things like that, can't you?
Can you imagine them bricking their computer? Just like, nope, Windows won't boot for you anymore.
Well, you can do hardware bans.
I know.
So, in terms of like the whole cheating, I mean, in terms of our Discord with Cheater Reports channel has been a thing since Gears 4, because Gears 4 had no anti-cheat whatsoever. And to be fair, considering it had no anti-cheat, I'm really surprised there wasn't really that big of a hacking issue. However, there was clearly cheaters, because they could easily get in with no problem. So we literally made Cheat Reports at the time. Toby Camwell was an admin on that server at that time with the old owner of Fire. And they were sent it to Griox at the time as well. It's basically like, okay, here's the clips that we found of people that we suspect. Then Griox sent it to the Coalition. Then the Coalition will review the data that they have, and then the clips. And then if the clips and the data match up, it's like, okay, this person's clearly hacking banned. So that's how it used to work. And then at some point, they just started ignoring that channel, but we still reported it anyway to make people aware. This person's sus. Keep an eye out. Make sure to get reported properly.
Yeah.
So that's how that started.
The 60-120 frames thing. So I'll say I've been playing on 60 frames ever since I got my Xbox One. I recently just, like, earlier this week or whatever, I got my Series X, and I'm playing at 120 now. I can't tell any difference. I imagine if I go back to 60, I'll be able to feel the difference. But
I'm surprised you don't, to be honest.
Yeah, I am a little bit, yeah.
You do notice it.
I can't really tell the difference. The input delay I can definitely tell. But I think the biggest thing...
Go back and you'll notice.
Yeah, well, no, that's... If I go back to 60, I will probably notice. It's going from 60 to 120, I don't really notice. Just like going from 30 to 60, I didn't really notice that much. But when I went back to 30, I was like, oh my god, this hurts my eyes.
Yeah.
But, actually...
So...
I think the biggest thing here is you can't compare the 60 to 120 and use that as the advantage. Being the Series X is capable of 120, so even if they didn't allow crossplay, the Series X could still play against the Xbox One. So you still have that 120 versus 60 discrepancy. So
but Series X is still really hard to get hold of, especially in some regions.
It is really.
Yeah.
It took me forever to get hold of that.
But so are PC parts right now.
But it is. Yeah. But it is there. So
here's the thing that people really need to consider, and I really am going to run through this as quick as we can because I know we are running low on time. When it comes to crossplay, since the start, I've just kind of been saying, like, just let it be, just let it roam free, let everyone play with each other. All games have been doing it. We were one of the first this last generation with Gears 4. No one embraced it, and it was an absolute shame because then Fortnite got the fame for kind of being one of the first games to kind of show that off. When it comes to crossplay itself, especially now with the introduction of the Series X and the FOV slider, there is literally no more excuse except for cheaters. One, mouse and keyboard was always allowed on Gears 5 in matchmaking on console since the start. Yeah, you could argue more players on PC use mouse and keyboard. That might be true, but I also know a shit ton that use controller because that's just how they prefer how Gears plays on that. Because Gears is movement heavy and movement is better on controller due to what you can do. 2, 60 versus 120. Well, the frame rate argument in general. Once again, the Series X and S, which is £250, $300, that could do 120 frames per second on Gears 5. It's absolutely insane. Not even a PC at that price will never ever match that. I don't even think a £250 PC can even run Gears 5 at all. So you definitely have more people running 120 frames per second on Gears 5 on console than PC players. PC itself is not a balanced platform. Everyone has different hardware configurations. Everyone has different monitors. Everyone has different input devices. No one has ever complained about advantages on hardware, unless, of course, they're getting like 30 frames per second and their hardware's crashing all the time.
That's because you go into that knowing that beforehand, whereas the expectation...
Yes, but it's a never a non-issue. You don't get people on Counter-Strike complaining, oh, he gets 600 frames per second, I only get 300. Or I'm on 60 and he's on 120. That's why he's better than me.
Because there's no
Most of the time, that's not the case.
Because then someone just turns
Because it's a non-argument. It's a non-argument. The PC platform shows that you could be on anything, and it wouldn't matter.
People buy a console with the expectation that they are playing on a level playing ground. Granted, in recent years, that's kind of been muddled a bit with the water with kind of mid-generation upgrades, and what we've now got, which is the Series X, which is a massive upgrade. And you've now got the unfortunate instance where you could either have an OG Xbox, a One X, or a Series X or a Series S. Well, that is if you can pick up either of them. They're not been eaten up by all the scalpers, and you have to sort of, set a mortgage for them on eBay from a scalper, And yet with the input thing, again, Halo does it where you can see the input, and you can switch on or off input-based matchmaking in addition to platform matchmaking. And I never really thought that Halo had that much, certainly not on MCC, had that much of a larger base. Certainly it feels they do their kind of like the daily objectives, but they do them weekly. And to me, it feels like when they first come out every Wednesday, it's like really busy, and then by the time you get around to the Tuesday, it's like dying off a bit. I mean, it could just, but again, that's also going to vary depending on the region as well. You've got to take those into account. I mean, I'd be amiss if I didn't mention my poor Ghost and Aussies that they can struggle to do any ranked anything at all because there's not enough. There's not and they can't even go into co-op versus AI because it sends them on a data center that's on the moon or something, and that happens even to us as well. I'm in the UK, and sometimes I get on that, and I'm looking at all the people in the co-op versus AI lobby, and I'm thinking, why have we all got 100+ ping? Why is no one on a local server? Is it just done Russian roulette with a server choice for co-op versus AI? Certainly seems that way. If Series X was a bit more prominent, which will hopefully get to that stage as the course of this year or maybe next, I don't know. I mean, maybe this will push for more people using mouse and keyboard in the console, but it's I mean, not everyone's got it on a desk with a streaming setup and everything. A lot of them have just got it under their TV at home. They're playing on it like that.
Regardless, the option is there, and I know a lot of good players on PC that are way better than me, way better than Toby, way better than Aurora that do stick with controller, because Gears on controller plays best. There is no argument about that. Gears is Nasher movement heavy. Precision with a mouse does not change the fact that your movement is now is shit. Because digital would not be as good as analog or single stick or any other features that controllers can use. In terms of people being on a level playing ground, maybe once upon a time that was true, but you need to also take into account that people had different TVs and different input delays on that TV themselves, which no one ever considers. But that is a problem. Nowadays, especially now, I mean, as you said, with mid-gen console refreshes and the Series X and the PS5 and such, that's just how gaming is now. You get better hardware, you get 120 frames per second support, you can take advantage of that. But what I was saying it with PC as it being a non-issue is because it never has been a non-issue. I know a really amazing player called Allright in Gears 4 that played at 60 frames per second with a controller on PC. His PC was so bad it would sometimes crash or dip to 50 frames per second, yet people on console will still say mouse and keyboard only won because PC. Because people have it in their head when as soon as they see this PC icon, they just think he's winning because of hardware or input, which is absolutely not true. And also the fact that I'm really glad that FOV is now on console, but that was never a clutch in Gears of War because of the default FOV and it being third person, and also because most best players I know still play default, and even I've been playing default. FOV is quality of life. It is accessibility feature because some people on low FOV can get motion sick, and I've had that. I have it. I've had it on the new Mass Effect. It's terrible. So
Yeah.
I'm just glad that's finally out there. It
But
was
if you
never
can
that
see,
big.
if you can see more around you, especially when you take into account the kind of Gears game is, someone sneaks up right behind you with a Nasher. If you've got that greater field of view, you can see them coming up on you, and you can spin round and catch them off. And that is something unique to Gears. You're not going to get that.
If
with
that
other
was the
games.
case,
They
why
don't
does
have
not?
that kind of close
But why
combat.
doesn't everyone play at 100 FOV then? Why is Toby Campbell and Aurora saying they play on 80 or 85? It's just
see,
what they find comfortable.
I play at 90.
See, it's because you find that comfortable.
Yeah,
it's what
I don't-
people find comfortable.
Say-
Because when,
yeah, I
when
don't
you keep
like 100.
increasing FOV, yeah, you see more, but then you get a fisheye effect, and then
as
you
you
can't
said,
properly judge who's in front of you.
as you said, FOV's available on console now too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so because
Literally-
of that, FOV is now on there. Mouse and keyboard could be used from the start. The Series X exists. It's not level playing field anymore. There's no excuses anymore, except maybe, oh well, the boogeyman cheater might come. Well, I've been playing Gears 4 and 5 for over like nearly 2,000 hours now combined, and I've ran into barely any compared to other games like Call of Duty, which had a massive cheating issue on PC before even Warzone started. So let me tell you something, Gears of War is doing not too bad on that front.
yeah,
Yeah, but when you add them all up together, and when you realise a lot of these are very recent changes, and a lot of people can't get hold of the Series X yet that want to, you've got to allow them some leeway in their opinion that, well, yeah, they'd rather not, or they'd rather still be able to have the crossplay.
Yeah,
But a lot of
alright,
people
so-
on PC can't also reach that 120 anyway. If you look at Steam server reports, most of the popular GPUs is the 1060 or 1050 Ti. And depending on graphics settings, most people average 60 to 70 frames per second. There's like that 10 frames per second difference between the regular Xbox is minimal. It doesn't matter. And then they get going up against me where I'm playing on a 3090. I'm getting 150, 60 frames per second. Doesn't mean I'm better. It's just I see myself playing shit in more frames. So it doesn't change anything.
and honestly,
I have a better computer than Toby, and he beats me. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think that player skill and ping or connection is going to have a much larger effect on the game than frames per second.
Yeah, and especially if you look at how skill-based matchmaking works, if PC players were gods and skill-based matchmaking was working properly, then they'll be put against each other all the time anyway. If you was like an average console player and matchmaking was working properly, you would get put against an average PC player the same level as you, so you wouldn't even notice the difference because he's just as either good or shit as you. It changes nothing. It really doesn't.
Except when and this isn't just PC, I might add, this is also console as well. Except when said player decides to load up their secondary account and start from the bottom again, just for the pure fun of tormenting.
There's nothing you can do about
Let's
Smurfs,
play.
unfortunately.
Yeah,
There's nothing you can do about that. That's an issue in any game.
Smurfing's just going to happen.
That just happens because people are really shit at the rank they get assigned, so they're just like, oh, I'm going to make a new account and stomp billies. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And yes, many people do that on Gears. I know some content creators have done that because they weren't able to get matches because they were like high rank and couldn't find matches in reasonable time, and they wanted to stream. So I'm gonna make a Smurf account so that I can actually find matches easily. Or some content creators did it so that they could get easy quads on noobs for content. Like,
yeah, it's just how it is, Matt. Any game will have a smurfing issue. It's just how it is. Nothing you can do about that, unfortunately.
Yep.
Just look. Remember, didn't Gears 3 have a thing where, like, if you're below a certain rank, you actually had boosted damage to everything you've done, or something? Wasn't that what it did for new players?
Yeah. If you did not have any achievements on any Gears game, your first few matches gave you a little boost.
That's insane. I didn't actually think it was like that, but yeah, that's crazy. Imagine if they did that now with Smurfs. Gods. They'll be gods.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's difficult, and no one likes having an option taken away from them. And when you see, FIFA 3 and Halo adding in options to filter by input and platform, but with a caveat that says this is going to increase your matchmaking times, and you can
They
easily turn
have
that
the
on.
population to do that, though.
Do
Yeah,
they?
I mean, look at Steam Analytics. You have like 5,000 playing daily average
On the
on
PC
MCC.
side.
Then
Yeah.
you can on PC side. Then you compare it to Gears 5, where you have like 300 on Steam.
But then they're at an advantage on that, aren't they? Because it's now just come on PC, and they've been working on it for the year, adding each game in turn. Whereas, you could say that for Gears, unfortunately, it's more gone the other way, I suppose, where it's kind of been pressuring people off of it rather than giving them an incentive to come on.
I mean, they've not been doing enough on the PC side to get new PC players in, which infuriates me because they don't do free weekends with a new operation. They don't do sales that often. They literally don't do enough marketing. Like, yeah, it's on Steam, but when Siege is getting promoted, it's front page, free weekend, update coming right after.
Yeah.
Gears, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Mm. There's always going to be a contentious taking away crossplay, I think, and you're going to expect some people to be hesitant. And unfortunately, then when something happens in the game and it's actually probably more a case of the connection and the servers and compensation and all the kind of calculations going on in the background that maybe just kind of didn't hit the mark on that one. But to the player, all they see is, hang on a minute, how on earth did that PC player do that? Their instant go-to is going to
I think
be
we're just in a transition period right now. I think it was the right step for the coalition to make. Gear 6 is going to launch with crossplay. It's not even going to be a thing that they're going to discuss. It's just they're going to have permanent crossplay. I think most games moving forward are going to have crossplay, and right now we're just in that weird transition period. And especially with games now starting to have crossplay between Xbox and PlayStation and PC, and them all having crossplay with each other. It's are people going to be debating between PlayStation and Xbox and which one has an advantage there or something? I think we're just moving into that period now where it's going to become the new norm, and we're just in that rough patch where people are trying to adapt to that.
The future is now, old man. Adapt, overcome, survive.
Yeah, the problem is with Gears and the minute timing and the close quarters combat, especially with the Nasher. They've got more challenges with that and balancing, the connectivity and the timeouts, and you've got people arguing that, I wish why is it I'm getting 98% on a Nasher hit? It should just count up to 100. And I'm like, they tried that. Everyone then complained that there were too many trades all the time. Every time they shot someone, it was a trade, and they got angry because it's like, no, I did it and he didn't get me. And it's like, well, on his screen he got you and you didn't get him, or her. Sorry,
or
they,
or
they, or they, or whatever,
whatever.
Yeah, so it's a balancing act, isn't it? Whenever they've tried to accommodate based on what the community have shouted that week, and they make a change, then they get shouted at from another group, and then they've got to dial it back, or it's got to
they're never
going to
make everyone happy.
It's got to the point now where it's got so finely detailed that they cough in the direction of a setting of the Nasher, and it throws everything off kilter. It's So okay, Shine's saying she'd much rather have a trade than consistent 99%, and then then you're going to get people complaining. God, all I get is trades all the time. It's just trade, and then they get.
I'd rather a trade, to be honest, personally. But there's a lot more tuning.
We've had that, and
I know. I understand.
They said this is bad. I shouldn't be getting trades. Everything's a trade.
Yeah, that's just how it is. A community is not one single mind. There's always going to be the community's always going to be split up, and you'll always have a different part line.
It's too far. You got people saying it's a shotgun. It should blow someone to pieces, And but then people saying no, but it's a shotgun. It's got short range. You shouldn't be able to blast them from 30 feet away or 20 feet away. You
Go
know,
play
and
something
All,
else.
all I'll say is
It's a
on the
balance,
shotgun
isn't
right
it?
now. It's like when you have slower movement and a strong shotgun, it's very unfun.
Yeah.
Like
That's the thing,
Gears
isn't it? It's
3
got to
had
be
a
fun.
strong shotgun. Yeah, Gears
You
3
can
had a
make it
strong
really
shotgun,
accurate.
but you could be like a rabbit on speed, bouncing everywhere uncapped, and that's where kind of the balanced. When you have Gears 2 movement and Gears 2 shotgun damage, it's just not that great to play. You feel like you can't really outmaneuver that much because you're just getting 2 hit. You can't really dance, you know, especially when the gib range is far. It's just not that great.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm hoping. I think the next thing they really should think about trying with the PvP and ranked and competitive side of things is to try and think of it more as a personal journey, personal rank. You can still probably have leaderboards or whatnot, but I think it should focus more on how well you do and you getting better, and then you go up ranks, or whether you do worse,
Yeah.
and then you go down. You know, make it more of a personal journey, because then if it is personal journey, no one's going to care what the other players are on, because at the end of the day, did you do better? Did you do as expected? The calculation goes, right, well, where the game thinks you're going to do this well, actually you did better. You got more kills, you got more downs
I mean,
than you usually do.
that's what it's been, right? It's your personal rank. It's the game. I mean, the way the game launched was the game expected you to do this well. You did this well, so you ranked up. Or if you did worse, you ranked down. And it was all about what you did personally. I mean,
it was good on paper. It just didn't work. Just
well,
because
it
it was
does need to have the fun
and...
factor. It needs to soften the negatives, and it needs to maybe, you know, buff up the positives a little bit. So you feel good playing it. You know, you're going to be, rather than I played a really good game and I've gone up a level, and then you have one bad game, I've gone down 3 levels. Then that's not fun. You know, people go, blimey, I wish I hadn't played that day. I'd have still been one level up today.
The best way, honestly. All right, let's say, what if what they had at launch actually worked really well and was very accurate according to the back end stats? It just didn't feel well or feel good for players. What if your rank only updated once a week or every 3 days or something like that? So you couldn't actually see the micro movements. You just saw the larger scale things.
The problem with that is people then get fed up that they're not seeing any progress. What I would, slight amendment to that, I would say, is have a progress bar, something that doesn't have any exact numbers or anything on it, but you can just see movement and you can kind of gauge and go, that's going up, or it's gone down slightly, or it's moving slightly, but it's not specific, so you can yell and go, it's taking me down a level, or it's not done it, but you can see something's moving, you know, and it's kind of vague, so it's not to get too anal about it.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I guess people want that instant gratification, and it's hard to.
You want instant gratification, but you also want to know that you want
making
feedback.
Progress. Yeah.
Yeah, you want progress. You want feedback. You want something. You know.
The hard thing about the thing about feedback is it's hard to show feedback without having like a committed, okay, here's exactly where you ranked up. And I kind of feel like that feedback is almost a negative. You should be trying to do the best you can every match if you want to be going up. Having feedback saying, hey, you didn't do as well this match. Okay, I don't care. I'm going to do the best I can in my next match. No matter what, I'm going to do the best I can in my next match. So the instant gratification is really just the thing that makes people like it. But the feedback isn't really something that's necessary.
I don't know.
Because it's not really going to impact the way that you play, right?
I mean, going back to the first one, I think the issue I had with the first PvP system that probably made it that I wasn't really too caring for it was that it rewarded all the kills, but it didn't give any kind of rewards to the support players. You've got to kind of this is where I find.
Well, no, I mean that's just one of the that's one of the details they need to work out.
Yeah, PvE. Sorry, they really balance it well. They have all these different classes, so people can play in all sorts of different ways. If you're a really good headshotter and really good with the aim. You go with a marksman, you do that. You're more of a support player. Well, you go with a tactician. You provide everyone ammo, or right. It gives you lots of different ways to hit that mark. Whereas in PvP, it's like you got to be a slayer, or the best thing I suppose in like objective modes, you get the ring. But that's it. It's like, well, hang on. I'm a player who's literally spotting everything for everything. I'm the player who's hitting damage into everyone for them, or I'm the one distracting the player so the other guy can get away. So he was full red. He was about to go down. He pretty much had no hope. But I fired, distracted the guy, and he got away, and he got his health back. You not get any reward for that. You didn't in that system. You still don't.
Well, that's all right. So they had a machine learning algorithm that figured these are the factors we're looking at. This is how much they impact the win-loss of the game. This is how well you performed in each of those compared to what we expected. And I think the issue is that they didn't have enough variables in there to properly represent the game.
And not for all the different types of players. Yeah.
Right. I think having that machine learning algorithm that slowly learns which variables are important and what their weighting should be actually works, or it should work really well.
But you do have to kind of give it some limits, because otherwise that kind of thing can really harshly punish you to the point where you go, well, sod this then. It's not worth it. I make one mistake and the game absolutely,
But but that's the thing about machine learning is they're not setting these are what the values should be. The game determines what those.
You could set a limit on how far it could deduct you in one go, maybe. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing is it learns. It learns over time how much is too much and what the correct balance should be.
That's fine, but most people aren't patient to wait for machine learning to get to the point of
that's the issue. Is people aren't waiting for that journey, and it's hard for them to accept the stuff.
Yeah, because it's a game. It's got to be fun. But yeah. Oh well. And maybe they'll eventually hit the golden formula. Who knows? But whatever it is,
who knows?
It won't satisfy everyone. That's for sure.
Yeah. Nobody wants to wait for machine learning to do its job.
Oh dear.
I feel if they stuck with it, maybe it would be doing pretty well right now. But I don't know.
But then does machine learning get thrown off by the fact people get fed up with it, they leave, and then it's an unbalanced of players, so you don't get that good feeling of the machine learning.
Yeah. Depends on how they set it up, I guess.
But
yeah, we'll never know.
Sadly not. Yeah.
Ah well, what can you do?
Yeah. Yep. Well, I think what we just decided is let's just get rid of the ranking system. We can't get it to work. Let's get it out of here.
I mean, yeah, that's it.
Yep.
I don't disagree on it.
Alrighty. Let's go around the room one more time. Just any closing remarks, final words you want to say about anything we talked about today. Let's reverse the order this time. Cheese, we'll start with you and cycle back around.
So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty pleased with Op 7, the first drop. I'm curious what the second drop's going to bring, and then obviously the last two drops. Really happy about the PvE stuff. Really a big surprise. I think everything that came out was a surprise because, as we talked about, it was stuff that Michael had said that they hadn't decided on, or probably was just further down the line or on the list of stuff they wanted to do. And yeah, with that said, I don't know what to expect from here on out other than quality of life changes and some maps and stuff like that. So I mean, that's really all I can say about it, because I don't care about. I mean, I play versus for fun. I play quick play with one of my friends every few weekends we play it. I don't care about ranked. I never really did. The leaderboard system's pretty cool. I mean, it gives it some longevity, people to shoot for something, I guess. You're never going to make everybody happy. I mean, I think that's pretty evident, especially with this community anyway. But yeah, as I said at the beginning, you can find me on Twitter, on the forums, and on Reddit. And yeah,
All right, Terry, cycle down to you.
Okay, brilliant. Op 7 has some good changes. Unfortunate missteps of bugs and things just not working properly. But to be honest, I think people just expected that at this point. Be it for one reason or another, be it just like not enough time to QA or just incompetence, which I hope is not the case. Regardless, there's a lot of passionate people in the coalition, which I think are really trying hard. Michael Shannon, Jonathan Taylor, everyone else that just doesn't really get the spotlight. You know, I do think there are good people at the coalition. I think they are doing a good job, especially with the resources that they probably have right now, considering they have new projects coming and Gears 5's in the life. Crossplay is not that big of an issue, in my opinion. Do not be scared of a PC icon. They're probably just as bad as you, let's be honest. FOV sliders coming to console. Really good accessibility feature. Thank God that's finally became a thing. Really glad they pushed for that. And talking to you, Cheese and Ace, and Chaps, has been a pleasure. It's always good being on here. Always DM me at some point if any of you want to have a chat. I'm always down to talk to any of you. And modding tools on Gears of War, please. That's all I want.
Yeah. All right, Ace. Closing thoughts.
Yep. So, sort of reiterate what I said earlier. Absolutely blown away by the amount of work in this update. The wealth of PvE changes. The fact that they have shot again for another reiteration of the rank system, competitive system. Whether it hits the mark or not, it's still a lot of work, a lot of big changes. It's unfortunate that some things need a little bit more polish, and hopefully by this hotfix week or by the mid drop, things will be tidied up a little bit, and some of the niggles will be addressed that are still outlying. It shows their commitment and what is amazing crunch work, I think. And we've got to remember that and highlight it, and temper the disappointments with what are amazing changes and improvements. And while Gears 5 didn't have the best launch, obviously, I've gone over a couple of times and they've admitted, I think ultimately it's going to end in a reasonable, respectable setup for the most part. And I'm sure when Gears 6 or whatever comes out and we're moaning about that one, everyone will be saying, go back to Gears 5. Gears 5 was the best. It's brilliant. It ended in a really high note. And we'll be back into this eternal circle again until we're in the until we're in the ground. But Operation 8, I honestly don't know what to expect. It could be quiet, and I wouldn't be too surprised by that, considering what a blowout this one is. On the other hand, being that it's coming to the end, it could be when quite a lot of loose ends tie up and finish. And like you said, with a lot of the PvE improvements to life being done, we could see perhaps a lot of maps finishing. We've seen a few little hints here, maybe the way some people have said on Twitter, oh, it's nice to see that one come out, or that one that I worked on, meaning that, there's others, are there? And you've seen in other old games, there's usually a lot of bits in the flow, and it's just a question of whether they make it in time for the finishing gate in time or not. So who knows? It could be quite impressive. It could be kind of minimalist, but at least I think Gears ends on a fairly positive note, and I'm pleased with that. And I'm pleased to have the chance to come on here, your good selves, Cheese Cutta and Terry, and chat with this. And it's nice to see that it is still possible for people, for players in the community, to have a discussion, have a talk, have different viewpoints, express that politely, and we don't always agree on everything, and some things we do agree on, Yep. And I wish that there were more people kind of trying to come together and meet on the terms, like me and Terry have had a bit of back and forth here about crossplay.
No, I enjoy Ace, honestly.
Plays. Yeah, exactly. It's great, isn't it? And you can have negative opinions, you can have positive opinions, you haven't even formed one yet. You're honestly just, I'm not sure. Tell me both sides. And we can discuss it and show that it's not all this toxic community, nasty at each other's throats, back and forth, competition on who can shout the loudest or say the worst thing about it, or just get all the negative people on their stream or their video to just talk whatever. Everyone's got gripes. It's a fact of life. But if we can try and sort of explain it and give examples, and I know people are frustrated, they're not always the most polite or etiquette with their explanations. I mean, hear me now, I'm making a complete mess up of this, but it's nice to see that people can still come together and have a chat, and this is why I did nudge BChaps, I think, to start these back up way back in '04, I think, was it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I used to do them like weekly, and then they fell off for a while. So
then they fell off for a while, yeah. But I'm pleased you still do them. I love to see them, and I can't always jump in and engage with them because you put them on during esports streams, or I'm eating at the time or something. To
be fair, I have Twitter open on the side, and usually during one of these streams, I look over and I see Twitter, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, there's an esports stream going on right now. I didn't know that." Like, honestly, I don't even know when the esports streams are anymore.
Follow me.
Are you even a fan? Get out.
No.
You're not helping the team, you're not helping the life of the game. We all know that esports are pushing the game and they're keeping it alive. I'm just winding you up there because I know that's going to be something people are going to argue about. But yeah, So ultimately, I think the game's ending to a good point. I'm pleased to chat with you guys. Love to be on any time. Love the people in the chat as well, and I love the content creators and what they can do, and everyone is pulling to do what they're good at and what they can do, and we should try and support everyone and support those in the coalition who we can see are putting their heart and soul into it. And there's maybe some people need a bit of a kick up the jacksie when it comes to testing some of this stuff, but on the other hand, one thing I wanted to get into, but we probably haven't got time for, but I'll just say quickly, in QA, sometimes you have given specific limitations or requirements, test this specific thing in this specific set of time. You don't get a lot of the time to do what we call regression testing, which is making sure everything else still works with this change applied. So, that's why I kind of temper some of my expectations with this. And I go, oopsie, that's because they missed that bit. Well, that's probably because they were so focused on making sure that he said these bits. They didn't then go to, do you know what? I should probably try him with every weapon, running around with a retro lancer. Oh, look at that! It's got the wrong lines there as well, and it's something that doesn't get picked up until the community notice it or scream it at them. Or to be fair, we all said, he's got the wrong voice lines, but we didn't say it's also got the wrong voice lines when he's charging with a retro lancer. So.
That's something I kind of just would have expected them to test, though. It's regression testing. I don't even consider that regression testing. That I just feel is a total failure on their part. The voice lines. Well, this is the third time that they've had to patch the voice lines for that one character. I feel like that's just
time slipped, I think, didn't it, from the patch?
Yeah, the first time maybe was a mistake. So, but still, the second
actual. Second actual patch time.
That's pretty bad. I mean, come on.
As long as it's not third time, lucky. that's good, isn't it?
I'd really hope not.
But yeah. Here's hoping that they do take into account Gears 6, the lessons learned from 5 and 4. And if they don't, then for the love of God, please flight it and send Chaps, me, Cheese, and Terry invite, for God's sake.
Don't invite me to anything. If you think I've got a sailor's mouth now, dear God, do not play a game with me. I am the worst person to play with. I don't know how my mates.
Yeah, same.
You should hear me when I'm playing Golden Gun event or Free For All. I'm embarrassed. I really am. I have to have my mic off because it goes blue.
I have to turn my text chat off because I just talk shit to other players all the time. I'm just like, you dickhead. What the fuck are you doing? I'm so bad.
Yeah, it's usually I got my mates in the party chat, and it's like, yeah, we don't want to hear you losing, Ace. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Ah,
I relate to that.
yeah,
Alright.
yeah, but yeah. So yeah, love to be on with all you guys, and love to the community and everyone out there, and anyone who's unfortunately been banned or kicked out or pushed. I would just say, look, people have said to you to cool it. People have said to you to, think about it a bit and how you've said it. And, if you've decided not to take that time out, that time to reflect, and you keep pushing ahead with something, you get banned from the game. And you can argue whether you feel that's entitled because you spent 60 quid on the game or not. I don't know. But it's unfortunate. But then if you're going to double down and not meet halfway, then what do you expect is going to happen, honestly, But I do feel bad for some of those people who now can't enjoy Gears 5 or Gears 6 or whatever, is coming forth, as long as it's still the Coalition, which, no reason why I believe it's not going to be. I do feel some sorry for that. And I've tried to reach out to some of those people and they have slapped me back and, fine. It's unfortunate, but I wish some people wouldn't just get on the whole negative bandwagon just for the sake of views and clicks and things. It's not worth it. It's not. I hope more people can just kind of focus in on the positive side of things and chatting with this, And I'd love to hear more from Terry and Cheese. So keep doing these BChaps, or I'm going to be pestering you on Twitter.
Yeah. Thanks the three of you for joining. I definitely plan on doing more of these, and I like
Good.
getting random people from the community. Like, I guess Cheese, you do a little bit of streaming. Ace, you're a forum moderator. Terry, you're mod on that sub for the PC or
the cesspool that it is. Yeah, I'm just
the PC Discord. But
and you're a mod on the Reddit as well.
Yeah, and I'm a mod on the Reddit, but I also do, I want to talk to everyone in the community, so I do get people in who aren't content creators. Saw Jerusalem Johnny in the chat earlier. We were actually going to have him on a few weeks back, but some stuff came up and we weren't able to get the stream going. But yeah, just like random people who aren't creators. I love getting anyone on to talk about this stuff. So again, to the three of you joining me today, thank you very much. To the people in the chat, thanks for tuning in. And this is also going up on YouTube, so whoever's watching there, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll catch you all later. See ya.
See you guys.
Everyone. Bye.
Shout out to everyone that made it to the end.